So chapter 15, ad aulam, to the palace. In this chapter, we saw relative clauses and relative pronouns. So in English, that's something like the man who was riding the bike fell off, right? So who was riding the bike could be a relative clause, who would be a relative pronoun. So we talked about that. We talked about the forms of the relative pronouns, so we're being able to identify both as we go through this. The relative pronouns I have underlined in blue. And then this chapter also talked more about gender, so not only masculine and feminine, but also neuter. I've underlined the neuter nouns in this in black, right? So I'll look at those as we go through, and also the neuter relative pronoun we'll see. Quad, which would be significant because we have to distinguish that from quad meaning because, right? The other quad that we've seen. And conjugated verbs are, as usual, in red. So let's go right up to that first paragraph. So Agmen longissimum ad aulam procedebat, in prima parte ibant decem servi, he servi qui vigas longas tenebant, eran precursores, in medio agmene salvius et quintus equitabant, post eos ambulabant tres ancillae, quae ornam et tripodas portabant. Alia ancillae flores et unguentum ferebant, postrema procedebat vigenti servi, agmen quad totem viam complebat erat splendidum. All right, so the first verb is procedeba, was preceding. It's imperfect, of course, because of the BA. So what was preceding? Right, so ad aulam is a prepositional phrase, so that's not going to help me. So agmen longissimum is the subject here, and agmen is neuter. Right, it's a neuter third declension. Right, and as you know, that means it will look the same, the nominative or accusative. It's got to be It's got to be nominative here. It's got to be the subject, right? Just logically. So what kind of column? A very long column, right? Since it's neuter, right, the adjective is gonna take um in the nominative or the accusative for the first and second adjective. Right? Remember the two rules in the neuter, the nominative and accusative have to be the same. In the second declension, that means it's nominative and accusative. So longissimum would be nominative or accusative. It's nominative here because agmen longissimum just logically has to be nominative, but it would look the same if it was accusative. So a very long column was proceeding to the palace. In prima parte, of course, is ablative, right? In is assist space. So in the first part, ebont, we're going, right? The stem, which is the letter I, is that to go verb. And of course, bont makes it imperfect. So in the first part, we're going 10 slaves. He servi, these slaves. Okay, then we have a clause here, qui virgus longus tenebant. And this is a relative clause introduced by relative pronoun. And then the relative pronoun is going to agree with the antecedent, which here is servi. Right? So servi is nominative, was masculine and plural, right? That's the important thing. So qui has to be masculine and plural as well, according to the relative pronoun chart. So qui agrees with servi. So these slaves who were holding long sticks, right, were the precursors, the forerunners. So they ran out in front to clear the way. In medio agmene, so agmen, we know that's neuter. Third declension though, and the neuter form doesn't affect the third declension, or sorry, doesn't affect the ablative form. So their neuter rules we saw affect the nominative and the accusative. So the ablative is going to look the same. So in medio agmene, in the middle of the column, Salvius and Quintus equitabant, so they were riding horses. Post eos, after them, abalabant, Trace, and Chelae. So 3 female slaves were walking in abalabant. Post eos, behind them, after them. Quae, right, here's a relative pronoun introducing this relative clause, quae ornam et tripodas portabant. Who are the quae? Was the antecedent? The ancillae. Right, quae here is feminine and plural. Right, so it agrees with ancillae. So the female slaves who were carrying a jar and tripods. Alia ancillae flores and unguentum ferebant. So other female slaves, the verb ferebant, were carrying flowers and ointment. Unguentum. How does it take unguentum here? Perfume, it takes it as here. Okay, so that's probably better. So perfume. First stream, finally, or lastly, procedebant vigenti servi. So 20 slaves were proceeding, were going forward. The column, okay, and here's a relative pronoun that is quad, right? Because the antecedent is going to be augment, which is neuter, so I need a neuter singular, and that's going to be quad here for the nominative or the accusative, and here it's nominative in the relative clause, right? Remember the pronoun that's antecedents will have to agree in gender and number, but not in case. They can be different cases because a relative pronoun can be doing something different in its clause than the antecedent is doing in its clause, right? So the column which was filling the whole street, right, was splendid. Multiquoque Britanni cum exoribus liberisque ad aulam evant. So the verb is evant, we're going. What's nominative? Multi Britanni. So many Britons also were going. Then we just have a prepositional phrase here. With their wives, liberisque. Remember, que is a suffix, puts and in front, right? Que on the end puts and in front. So wives and children to the palace. So many Britons also, with their wives and children, were going to the palace. Magna turba era in via. So a great crowd was in the street. Tum Warica, qui cum precursoribus equitabat ad salium rediet. Right, so the main clause, tum Warica ad salium rediet, then Verica returned to Salvius. Double I's is going to be the perfect of that to go verb, right? So Ebonch, they were going, Rediets, they returned. You see double I's, it's more than likely going to be the perfect tense of the to go verb, and here it has a prefix red, which means went back. So returned or went back. So Verica returned to Salvius. Verica, and then the relative clause here, relative pronoun is qui. Verica is the antecedent, so it's got to be masculine and singular. So qui works, right? It's also nominative in its clause. So Verica, who was riding a horse with the precursors, the forerunners, right? So Verica, who was riding a horse with the forerunners, returned to Salvius. And Verica says, Domine, difficile est nobis percatere, quod he Britanni viam complent, via exeri nolent. Quid facere debrio? So Domine, vocative here, as we'll see soon, that case, that minor case. So master. And we have this pattern area that you want to get down. It is the adjective for the dative to do the infinitive. So it is difficult for the dative for us. Remember, nobis is dative for us to proceed. Okay, here we have quad again. So is this going to be a relative pronoun or is it going to be because? Well, if it's going to be a relative pronoun, I need a neuter antecedent, and there's not really one here. And there's that dummy it on S, but that's not going to work. So there really is no neuter to be an antecedent of a relative pronoun quad here. So more than likely it's going to be quad because, and it is here. Right. So if you don't see a neuter noun as a possible antecedent for a relative pronoun quad, it's probably because. Right. Also, the one that sounds right usually is going to be right to go with because or which. So because here, because these Britons, weam complex. Here's a few I didn't underline. So because these Britons, complement, are filling the streets. I miss all these. So I skip this whole section. Okay. So master, it is difficult for us to proceed because these Britons fill the street. Nolent, they do not want to do the infinitive, complementary infinitive, right? They don't want to leave from the street. Quid facere debio? What debio should I? What ought I? Facere do. So here facere is completing a thought of debio. So what should I or what ought I do? Salvius, angry. Same pattern, right? It is the adjective for the dative to do the infinitive. Here's the infinitive. So it is necessary for the forerunners to do the infinitive, to remove the accusative, the Britons, via from the street, right? Via, of course, is what case? Ablative, right? Object of a said space. The letter E is short for EX. If we began with a vowel, it would be EX. Okay. Non decorum est Britannicus cives Romanos. So it is the adjective for the infinitive, for the dative rather, to do the infinitive. So it is not fitting for the dative for Britons to impede, to block Roman citizens. Right, next verb, volo, I want. Complementary infinitive, ire, to go. I want to go. Quam celerem, as quickly as possible. So we saw quam with a superlative makes it as blank as possible. So here, as quickly as possible. Rex nos expecta. So the king is expecting us. Verica quidonum eratum temebat ad precursores rediit. Right. So Verica, who was afraid of the angry master, right? And why not? We see what he does with 6 slaves. What would he do with an inefficient one? Who knows? So Verica, who was afraid of the angry master, radiate again, returned to the forerunners. Right? Precursores, of course, is third declension. Right here, it's got to be accusative, the object or preposition. Right? Can't be nominative. It's got to be accusative. Asni estis. So asni estis. You are asses, right? Habetus virgas. You have sticks. Right? You plural, right? Estis, habetus. Remove the Britons. This is an imperative form, which we'll be seeing soon. It's a command. Here it's a command to more than one person. We'll see that. Okay. So, tum precursores statum virgas rebrabant, multi Britannia fasces titiluerant, quod virgas temebant, dua juvenes tamen impavidi via consistebant, propa juvenes era plaustrum, quod totum viam claudebat. So then the forerunners statum immediately, not suddenly, statum is immediately. It's a shade of difference there. So we're brandishing, we're waving around virgas or sticks. Multi Britannian fasces desiluerant. So many Britons jumped down. Right? I know it's perfect because of the errant for sure, right? It's easy to spot. Jump down in fassa. So here's in plus the accusative, so it's not just in, it's into, right? Into ditches. Right? In plus the accusative, into or onto. So here into ditches. So quad, right? It's not going to be a relative pronoun which because there's no neuter noun for it to be the antecedent of it. So it's got to be that quad because. Plus, it'll sound better if we take it as because. So because virgas temebant, because they were afraid of the sticks. Duo juvenes tamen impavidi in via consistebant. So 2 young men, however, impavidi, right, fearless. Again, with the adjective to describe the subject, we can usually take it like an adverb. So we could say fearlessly, right? It's a first and second adjective. It's modifying a masculine, so it takes a second declension ending, and it's nominative plural, impavidi. So fearlessly, we're standing in the streets. So consistebant, they were standing in the street. Prepa Juvenus era plastrum. So near the young men was a wagon or a cart. That is neuter. So we see quad here. It's more than likely going to be a relative pronoun with the antecedent of plastrum. So was a cart which which was blocking the whole road. Okay, Verica says, Car viam clauditus, necessitas domina meo ad aulam ire. So why clauditus? Right, this you plural. So why are you blocking the street? And here's that pattern. It is the adjective for the dative to do the infinitive. It is necessary for my master to ire to go ad aulam to the palace. The first young man says, Nos quoque regum visitari volimus, sed plastrum movere non possumus, plastrum rotum fractum habet. So we also, volimus, want to regum visitare, to visit the king, but plastrum movere non possumus. So we are not able, right? Most is we are not able to movere, the second conjugation infinitive here, to move. We're not able to move plastrum, the wagon or cart, right? Neuter, so it would look the same, nominative or accusative. Here it's accusative, but here it's nominative. So we are not able, obviously plastrum can't be a we, so we know it's not nominative here, it must be accusative. But here it's going to be a subject of habit. So the wagon has a broken wheel. Can't be accusative. I already have rodum fractum as my accusative, and there's no and linking them, so that'd be kind of awkward to make it an accusative. So it's just got to be the nominative logically here. So the wagon has a broken wheel. Also, the common word order, right? Subject first, verb last, everything else in the middle. Second young man says, Amicus noster quam nos expectamus alium rotum quaerit, amicum expectare debemus. So the main clause, amicus noster alium rotum quaerit. So our friend is looking for quaerit alium rotum, another wheel. Then we have the relative clause, quem nos expectamus. And the antecedent of quem is our friend. Our friend is nominative, quem is accusative. The pronoun and the antecedent don't have to be the same case, as I mentioned before. Here, amicus is the subject of quaerit, but quem is going to be the direct object of expectamus. So whom we await, whom we are expecting, whom we're waiting for. Right, so our friend, whom we are expecting, is looking for another wheel. Amicum expectare debemus. So we should wait for amicum, our friend. Okay. Rarca axius ad salium etrum rediat. So rediat again, the double I's is going to be the perfective to go. So rediat returned. Verica anxious modifies the not the subject. You can take it like an adverb. So anxiously return to Salvius again. And Verica says, Plaustrum quod vides domine rotum fractum habet. Difficula est nobis procedere quod hoc plaustrum totum viam claudit. So the wagon, comma, quad, right? Plaustrum is neuter, so quad, probably the relative pronoun which. See if that sounds better. If it does, go with it. So the wagon which you see, works fine, Lord or master, has a broken wheel. Okay, it is difficult for the dative for us to procedere, to proceed. Here we have another quad, but now I don't have a convenient neuter for it to be referring back to, so it's probably because this wagon blocks the totum viam. Notice to see plaustrum then totum, but I know totum can't go with plaustrum because totum with that am ending must be modifying a feminine, and plaustrum is neuter, so totum can't go with plaustrum. It's got to go with viam. So this wagon blocks the whole road. Salvius, erratia quamantia, so angrier than before, right? A comparative, quam means than with a comparative, so angrier than before. New member is surely not, nonne surely. So surely you are not deaf, blockhead, gloves are off. Non commodum est mihi, it's not convenient for the dative for me to manere, to remain in hoc loco, in this place. Quam calerme procedere volo. I want to do the complementing infinitive. I want to proceed. Quam calerme again as quickly as possible. Verica. So Verica ad precursores etrum rediat. So Verica returned again to the forerunners, and he passes on the insult to them. Blockheads. Emilete, that's a neuter imperative again, as I mentioned before, that's coming up. Also, diikete is going to be a neuter, not a neuter, a plural imperative. So, blockheads, remove this wagon. Throw it down, understood, into the ditch. The precursor is postquam varicum adiverant plaustrum and fossum diacerent. So the forerunners, okay, after varicum adiverant, after they heard verica, plaustrum and fossum diacerent. So they threw down the wagon into the ditch, right? In plus an accusative into Juvenes vehementer resistabant. The young men were resisting vehementer, be violently, energetically, violently, probably works here. Tum precursores juvenes quoque in fossum diacerent. Then the forerunners juvenes quoque in fossum diacerent. So they threw down the young men also into the ditch. Salvius, per viam procedens et cacinans. So proceeding and cackling, laughing along the road. Britanni sunt molestissimi. The Britons are very annoying. Molestissimi, of course, is what degree? Is superlative, right? Molestior would be comparative. Molestus would be positive. So molestissimi is superlative. So Britons are very annoying, or even the most annoying, we could say. Semper nos Romanus vexant. They always annoy us Romans. So nos here has to be the accusative, right? Because the subject is a they, so it can't be a we. So this must be accusative us Romans, right? All right. So more fun with Salvius, making friends everywhere he goes, and Quintus just along for the ride at this point. We'll see what happens with that. So until next time.